Welcome back to another episode of the Popcorn Theory. This is Dave from Nerdbox, and if you've been tuning into our weekly live shows, you may have heard some of the disdain that we have talked about in regards to the casting announcements that have been made for Scream 7. Oh boy, it's gotten pretty heated over there, but on today's theory, we're going to dive into what it possibly means with the announcements of Roman and Stu coming back. And how I figure it is that we're going to dive into a little bit of a theory, but more storytelling on how this can actually play out in Scream 7. And that story begins with a new wave of Ghostface unalivings beginning, leaving the survivors of the previous films and attacks, Sidney, Kirby, Chad, and Midney, on edge. However, something is different this time. This Ghostface isn't just playing by old rules. They are using new technology to blur the lines between reality and fiction. A Ghostface who weaponizes AI and deepfake technology to resurrect ghosts from Sidney's past. This new unaliver doesn't just don the mask, they become the unalivers that Sidney has already survived. Sidney, now living a secluded life away from the media spotlight with her husband Mark and their kids, is dragged back into the nightmare a decade after Dewey's death, when a series of murders begin to happen in her small town, just outside of Seattle. Sidney pays no mind to the events that are unfolding around her, but someone else is paying very close attention to those patterns that are beginning to form around her. Kirby Reed, still assigned to tracking Ghostface-related attacks, receives an encrypted message containing a deepfake video. It's Stu Macher, seemingly alive and taunting her. She dismisses it as a hoax until a fresh murder occurs, mirroring one from 1996. As more deepfake videos surface featuring Billy Loomis, Jill Roberts, Roman Bridger, and Mickey Altieri, Kirby realizes that the new Ghostface has access to AI technology that can convincingly recreate voices and images of the past killers. Meanwhile, for Sidney, it all begins again, first starting with phone calls with no one speaking, followed by heavy breathing, and eventually escalating into that familiar rasp of Ghostface.
Hello, Sidney.
Eventually, Kirby tracks down Sidney Prescott, who has been hiding with her family, refusing to engage another Ghostface rampage. But when the new Ghostface sends a message directly to Sidney featuring a deepfake video of Roman Bridger, who taunts her with only things that he would know, Sidney knows that she can no longer ignore it. This Ghostface has hacked into smart home devices, social media, and security systems, planting AI-generated footage that makes it appear as though past unalivers have returned from the dead. They use real-time deepfake voice modulation to perfectly mimic their speech patterns, making it impossible to distinguish who is truly behind the mask. Rather than relying on brute force alone, this new Ghostface is gaslighting Sidney, making her question her own reality. Did she ever truly escape her past? No, because as Randy said,
The past will come back to bite you in the ass. Whatever you think you know about the past, forget it. The past is not at rest. Any sins you think were committed in the past are about to break out and destroy you. So in closing, let me say, good luck, Godspeed, and for some of you, I'll see you soon.
I figured I'd give some backstory this time around because going this route allows Scream to go into a new direction, unlike what we saw in the previous two films that followed similar beats and patterns from the first two Scream movies. It allows the franchise to push into the future like we saw with Part 3 when they used the voice modulator. Also, going in this route where we're announcing previous Ghostface coming back to the franchise It makes me wonder, is it really Ghost? Because we saw Sidney see Ghost in the past, and we don't need to relive that happening again, because why would the character after all of this time begin to start having that trauma experiences? And we also seen the hallucinations happening with Sam, so Ghost, hallucinations, I don't think so. I think it's the AI route. And let's dive a little bit more into the possible suspects that would be behind this. A survivor seeking revenge. Could someone close to the past unalivers be enacting vengeance using 21st century tools? Perhaps a tech-savvy relative of Stu or Mickey. A rogue AI programmer. A new character who's obsessed with Ghostface and wants to remake history through technology. The Ghostface cult. A group of unalivers each taking on the identity of different past unalivers using AI to assume their mannerisms. Now honestly, I've been on the Stu train for so long, but I'm thinking that Stu is officially dead. With that announcement, it makes me really think that we're using Matthew Lillard in this role for another reason, and it's possibly this one that we're talking about today. But when we factor in the original script that was supposed to be for Sam and Sidney in Scream 7, this all starts to seem to make sense with who is going to be the unalivers in that film. And you can check out that video right here. Is Anna Camp Leslie Macher, and is Asa German her youngest son? I tend to think so, and here's how that can play out. The mastermind is revealed to be Leslie Macher in the closing act of the film. Stu Macher's sister, along with her youngest son. Leslie has lived for decades in the shadow of her brother's infamous crimes, forced to endure the stigma of being a Macher. But in secret, she has nurtured a deep resentment towards Sidney, blaming her for Stu's death in 1996. Her rage only intensified when her eldest son, Vince, was murdered by Ghostface. And although Vince wasn't innocent, his death reignited Leslie's vendetta. She sees Sidney as the common denominator in all of the past massacres. Every tragedy from Woodsboro to Hollywood and beyond traces back to her. And using her younger son's technical savvy, Leslie orchestrates the ultimate revenge, using AI to make it seem as though Ghostface has resurrected Sidney's past unalivers, forcing her to relive her worst nightmares, just like she has had to endure being the sister of Stu. Now, some of you may say, well, the only piece that's missing here in the Sidney story is Maureen Prescott, because it always lingers and hovers around Maureen Prescott. Well, in Scream 5, do we really touch base on Maureen at all? That story arc has come, it's been completed, and we're moving on from that. So it only makes sense that the impact of Maureen on the unalivers that have come and gone is over. And, well, there's a whole new crop of unalivers that are impacted from Sidney's survival and unalivers that have come since then. With the rumors of this being the start of a new trilogy, we could find that this is the first film without a reveal at the end of who is really the mastermind behind this. And while, yes, Leslie and her son would be orchestrating the attacks, this could leave the door open to bring Christina back later on if Spyglass happens to make amends with Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega. In the final showdown, Sidney exposes Leslie and her son, proving once again that no matter how Ghostface evolves, she will always survive. However, before dying, Leslie leaves Sidney with one final chilling message. It never ends, Sidney. As long as you are alive, Ghostface will find you. Credits roll, leaving us asking, what did she mean by that? And in another first for the franchise, during the mid-credits, a mysterious figure is seen watching a news report about the latest Ghostface murders, and then shutting their laptop where a deepfake video of Sidney herself murdering someone, maybe even Kirby, to frame her as the true mastermind behind the killings. The masked figure then turns towards the camera and whispers, "See you soon, Sid." Now, do you honestly think that the announcement of Stu and Roman coming back is just a mere PR stunt to cover up for what they did to Mark Kincaid? No, I don't think so. But I do think that them announcing it early is to throw us off track of what the real story is about. Sure, right now on the surface it does feel like it is going to be Ghost of Sidney's past coming back to haunt her, like it's a Christmas Carol or something. And then with Spyglass and Kevin Williamson recently following Emma Roberts online, it would suggest that Jill is not far behind from signing and coming back as well. Now, Timothy Oliphant, well, he doesn't really look the same as he did back when he was younger. You know, gray hair, a lot taller, so maybe he doesn't come back, but I threw him in there anyway. It does seem more plausible that the route that they're going is using AI technology because, one, it's different. It's something that we haven't seen before, and Kevin Williamson usually has his finger on the pulse of things, so I can really see it going this way. But, hey, as always, I will leave it to you to decide if this is the theory for Scream 7 and if you think it is right, so just drop that in the comments and let me know what you think. Also, if you have any ideas for any future fan theories that are out there that you would like me to explore, drop that in the comments as well. Now, if you haven't had a chance to go and watch it, or you've seen the video title for Randy surviving Scream 2 and then seeing what would happen in part 3 of the franchise, go and take a look at that. But as of right now, I am going to place that on hold. Doesn't seem like that many of you really enjoy that, so we're going to bring back Lost Horror Media, and that will start in 2 weeks with a interesting deleted scene about Pennywise devouring a baby. Yeah, that sounded pretty gross, so be on the lookout for that. Anyway, thank you for joining me. See you on the next.